Recording. And I want to welcome everybody to today's Cybersecurity Awareness and Resources webinar. Our presenter today is Estefanita Rawlings, and she's the Center Director of our Technology Commercialization Accelerator at New Mexico Tech. And I will turn it over to Steffi.
Greetings. Greetings and welcome to today's webinar. As Christopher let you know, our oh my God. Can you believe my phone just rang? Okay. Sorry about that. Again, greetings and welcome to today's webinar called Cybersecurity Awareness and Resources. My name is Estefanita Rawlings. I am the Center Director at the SBD Technology Commercialization Accelerator here at New Mexico Tech in Socorro, New Mexico. I am glad to see so many people here that are interested in cybersecurity awareness. My goal for this presentation is to expose you to cyber practices to put into place to help protect your small businesses from cyber threats. I also want to expose you, the small businesses of New Mexico, to cyber resources that are available for small businesses. I will talk to you about some of the major agencies that have provided resources for small businesses. And these agencies have written recommendations and guides for you to set up a strategy and policies to help your small businesses stay cyber secure. We will learn some terminology and talk about the top practices you and your businesses should put in place as you secure your business. First of all, I want to let you know that we will have a Q&A session. So as Christopher let you know earlier, if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A. We will have a session at the end of this presentation. We will also have a survey right before the Q&A, and we'd like everybody to participate. This is a trial basis, so we want to see what other information you guys are interested in. So I do appreciate you attending and participating in the survey and the Q&A. What I'd like to talk to you about, first of all, is my center called the SBDC TCA, Technology Commercialization Accelerator, here at New Mexico Tech. We are part of the New Mexico SBDC. We provide no-cost confidential counseling to the residents of New Mexico regarding intellectual property, which includes patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. The mission of the SBDC is to develop skilled entrepreneurs and strong businesses. Here at the TCA, we like to move our clients forward with their ideas as they work towards commercialization. We provide education and training events to help our innovators learn the process of protecting their intellectual property. Our other role is to provide cybersecurity awareness to the small businesses of New Mexico. So thank you, New Mexicans, for coming to the event, to this event. Sorry about that. I want to start by introducing some terminology that you will be hearing about during this presentation. So I'm just going to go through the slides and read them. So when you hear cyber, that is relating to the internet, and that involves computers and computer networks or any device used to access the internet. And then cybersecurity, it is the protection of computer systems and networks from unauthorized users. Another terminology is a cyber attack, and that's when an unauthorized user tries or gets access to your computer or computer network with a goal to steal your data or to damage your software or your hardware or to disrupt the services that you provide as small businesses. And then we've all heard, probably all heard about phishing. And this is an email method used to obtain your credentials so the adversary can get into your computer system. And this is the #1 way a hacker can compromise your system. So it's real important that you teach and educate your employees and all your employees or other people that work on the internet or have email about phishing and how to recognize phishing. We'll go to our second slide on terminology, and this word is ransomware. And this is software that gets into your system, and they may encrypt your data and lock you out of your device and or systems and demand a ransom to be paid. And then if you pay the ransom, they will provide you a payment key, and then you should be able to allow access to your system. So sometimes, well, the software will be running on your computer and you might not know about it. Another form of unauthorized software is virus, and this is an unauthorized software running on your system with intent to break your system and to allow hackers to access your system. And then you could be running an antivirus on your software, an antivirus software on your system. And this is software that identifies viruses running on your system, and it either quarantines them, it quarantines the virus, or it uninstalls the bad software once it finds it. And malware is like a virus also. It's any type of malicious software that is designed to cause harm to computers, servers, and devices. And then once your system has been hacked, you may have a data breach, and this is when your data is stolen, and either it's stolen, either sold to the dark web, or it's published on the hacker's website. And then the last terminology I have is hacked. And this is when you get a notification that someone has your data or your systems, and they could be requesting money to release your system. So those are some terminology, some words that I think that are important for you to familiar yourself with. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, you will get a copy of the presentation that I am presenting now. It will be a PDF file. And I do have lots of links on here, so I may be talking a lot, but the links will take you to the websites that you need to go to. So there are many resources available for you to use and that can be found on the internet. I want to talk to you about several federal agencies that have been tasked with providing cyber protection awareness to the public. And the first one is the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And this is a government agency that creates standards, guidelines, and best practices for the U.S. industry, for federal agencies, for private and public businesses. The agency has produced what we call frameworks, which are best practices that address the privacy risks, and this has to do with your data privacy. And then there's the cybersecurity framework, and this is a framework to manage and reduce your cybersecurity risk. And then we have two other frameworks that are produced by the NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And one is called the NICE framework. And the NICE frameworks helps developers perform cybersecurity work. So there are standards that computer programmers need to write their code to, and they come out of this NIST framework. So it enables organizations to develop their workforces to perform cybersecurity work. And then the last framework I'm going to mention is called the NIST SP 800-171 framework. And this framework is for all defense contracts, and they must implement the requirements to demonstrate the provision of adequate security to protect the covered information included in the government contracts. So if you're working for federal government as a contractor, you will have to be compliant with the NIST SP 800-171 framework. I will briefly show and discuss the guides that are available for the privacy and the cybersecurity framework, and what they cover in the frameworks. So in the NIST privacy framework, this has to do with the data that you are collecting as a small business. And this guide is what one could implement if you are collecting personal identity data or any data that should be secure. And so the framework has steps that you should go through to help you complete your mission here. So first thing you should do is identify all the data that you are processing from collection to disposal. And this should include your customer client information, your suppliers, and your human resources information. So you identify it and then you govern it. And so you need to know what obligations you have to be compliant, to be running your system or your services, especially if you're doing government contracting. And then you have to control your data that you're collecting and why are you collecting it? Consider your policies. So are you collecting a lot of this extra information that you don't need? And if you are collecting information or data, why are you collecting it? Do you have to save it for X amount of years? And then because you're collecting that data, you have to protect it. And you have to say who has access to this data? And what software are you using to protect your data? And is your software updated? And do you run regular backups? And are you encrypting your backups? And do you have policies for disposing your data in your devices? So if you're storing your data on your devices, do you have a policy that says, okay, I'm done with this backup system? How do you make sure that that information is purged from there so nobody else can have access to it? And then on this protect, who has access to your data? Do you have roles and responsibilities in your systems that say people can have access to the HR data, people can have access to the supplier data, people can have access to your customer data, or do you just let everybody have access to everything? It's best to have roles and responsibilities laid out. That way, you know who has access to your data. So basically here here you need to identify what you're collecting and protect it, govern it, build roles and responsibilities, protect it. And then you need to educate your employees on the data process activities. You have come up with a plan if you have a data breach and how you will provide the notification. And what you're going to learn here is there's processes that happen if you have clients' data that is secure and it has been breached because you've had a cybersecurity event. You will have to notify all your users of their data that has been breached. And maybe some of you have received letters, the banks or Target or credit cards, whatever, they say we had a data breach and your data has been compromised. So there is a plan that needs to happen if you as a small business have a cybersecurity event. So this privacy framework, this is what it looks like on the website, on the NIST privacy framework. And you'll see that it gives you steps of what needs to happen. And then you start working from there and making a plan for yourself and for your business. And so this is the privacy framework. And again, I have all these links on my presentation, so you will get the presentation in the next couple of days. So the second cybersecurity framework I want to talk to, and this is to keep your devices secure. So you have your data, you store your data on your devices. So now you have to keep your devices secure. And so one of the first step is identify, because you need to know what you have, so then you can protect it. So you should identify your critical enterprise process and assets. You should document your information flow, so you have a record of where it should be flowing. Maintain your hardware and your software inventory. And especially, you need this is when you do upgrades. Make sure all your hardware and your software, you have your inventory, you identified it. Now you can use that list to make sure everything's updated. And then you should establish some policies for cybersecurity that includes roles and responsibilities. And I talked to you about that earlier in the last slide, and it had to do with your data. So roles and responsibilities says this, and they go like departments. This accounting department has your financials, your supply, your vendors. They're providing you with product. Somebody would have access to that, and then your HR. So you need to distinguish that. You should distinguish it. So then you know who has access to the data and who has access to your hardware and software inventory. And then you need to identify threats and vulnerabilities and the risk associated with it. So if you know you have some old software and they're no longer maintaining it, and you can't update it anymore, they're no longer supporting it, what's the risk of running that software? So you just need to know about your threats and your vulnerabilities. And then second item is called the protection. So you have all your assets and your information. Well, you want to manage who has access to it. You want to protect who has access. You don't want everybody to have access to everything. And then again, protect your sensitive data. Protect it by doing backups, encrypt your backups, protect your devices, manage device vulnerabilities. Again, make sure you're doing your software updates, and then train your users on your assets and your information. And then the third step is called, sorry about that, is detect. And so you want to test and update your detection processes. So you might monitor and maintain your logs. So logs on a system will log every transaction that happens and at what time it happens. So look at those logs. Do you see any anomalies there going on? Do you see somebody logging on in the middle of the night? And then you need to understand the impact of your cybersecurity events. What's going to happen if your systems go down and you can no longer run your small business? So that's why you have to do your protection. Okay, and then this respond here says, it talks about having a plan. And so one, you need to build a plan that says, if I were to ever have a cybersecurity event, what would I do? What would I shut down my internet? Would I stop the flow? Who do I notify? Who do I bring in? Do I do a backup right away? You know, where are we? So you need to test your plans. Well, you need to build a plan. You need to test your plan. And then you need to work with your stakeholders, and you need to let them know. You need to say, once we get to this point, we let our stakeholders know that we've had a data breach, or our systems are locked up. And then you go into the recovery mode. So again, you're communicating with your internal and external stakeholders, and then you should have a recovery plan and make sure that it's updated. So if my system goes down, if I lose all my data, can I go to my backup? What's the format of going back to which backup is going to bring my data back to my system so I continue to work? And then if you ever have a cybersecurity event, you're going to have to manage your public relations, and because you have to protect your company reputation. So it's important to have a plan in place. So with your devices, you know, you'd identify them, protect them, monitor them, detect them, have a plan in place in case you have a cybersecurity event. And then if you do have a cybersecurity event, you need to have a plan to recover. so you can move forward. And this is all on the NIST website. Again, I have the links for you. And this is the NIST Cybersecurity Framework. And it talks about identifying, and this is a PDF, so you could download it and look at it and continue to learn more. And it talks about protection, detecting, responding, and recovering. So that is the next federal agency I want to talk to you about is called the Cybersecurity Infrastructure and Security Agency, also known as CISA. And they're America's Cyber Defense Agency. And this agency has many resources, and they emphasize managing your cyber risks by building a culture of cyber readiness. Okay, that's the way they approach this. Be cyber ready. And so there are two different guides that they talk about in this cyber guidance for small business. And this is the first guide that I'm going to talk about. And this section talks about building roles and responsibilities and getting your CEO on board to develop and build and promote your culture of cybersecurity awareness. Make sure you do your inventory, protect it, educate your employees, why we have to be cyber secure, why we don't use each other's passwords, why we don't open those phishing emails. We start talking, we have to be cyber secure. And the reason you need to bring this awareness is because nowadays they're not saying if you get hacked, it is when you get hacked. So you want to be prepared for the worst. Because if you're not, then you might not be able to bring your system back up. You may not be able to bring your small business up to date. It may cost you more to deal with a cyber event than your business has prepared for. So you just need to educate yourself. The next guide that they talk about is called the Cross-Sector Cybersecurity Performance Goals. And again, here we're talking about identifying, develop an organization understanding to manage the cybersecurity risk. And that includes your systems, your assets, your data, and protect them. Again, here we're going protect them, develop and implement the appropriate safeguards. And that protection has to deal with any time of the protections, you doing your backups, using, say, passwords, encrypting your data. And then again, detect, monitor your activities, develop and implement the appropriate activities. Know what your appropriate activities. Educate your customers, not your customers, your employees. Everybody educate your employees on the appropriate activities. And then respond, again, come up with an action plan to detect. You need to be able to detect if you're having a cybersecurity event. And then again, recovering. So develop and implement the appropriate activities to maintain plans for resilience and restore any capabilities or services that were impaired due to a cybersecurity event. So you want to have a plan in place to be able to bring up your small business back up and running in case there is a cybersecurity event. And I have this link here, and this is a checklist. And this checklist is it goes into the identify, it goes into the protection. Are you working on it? Have you completed it? And it's a PDF file, and you can download it, and you can use what's appropriate for your small business. You might not have everything that's listed on there, but gets you thinking, is it appropriate for your business, and use the parts that are important for your business to help you come up with your plans, your inventory, make sure you're updating your software, monitoring your logs. Do you do it weekly? Do you do it daily? Do you have reports on this? It's it's a good checklist. So I recommend you using that too. And then there are other agencies that have plenty of resources for small businesses. And another one that I like, okay, is the Federal Trade Commission. And it's they promote secure remote access. So maybe some of your employees are working from home. And so do they use a VPN to come into your system? Are they in the airport using an open free wireless access and not using a VPN to come into your financials? You know, you need to make sure that you have a secure remote access. And then you think a lot about computer security, but what about your physical security? So are you in the office, and where are your monitors sitting? Can the public walk in and see public info, like private PI, personal information that they shouldn't be seen? One day I was down here, this is a little story that I have, but I was down here in Socorro, and then all of a sudden this pop-up office came in, and they had all these boxes, and I'm going, what is going on here? You know, they didn't have a sign out for the new business. I says, well, I'm with the SBDC. I'll go check it out, see what they could see. Well, as I was sitting there, I noticed that one of the employees had their screens to the window, and I could see everything that was going on their screen. And so walked in and I says, oh, hi, I'm with the SBDC. Are you guys new here? What are you guys doing? And they said, well, we're a bunch of lawyers here, and we have this secure trial that we're putting on here in Socorro. So, you know, they had boxes all over and stuff. And I was like, oh, I was going to introduce us because we're the SBDC. But if you guys are doing like a private, you know, secure thing, you need to make sure like your monitors aren't facing the windows, because somebody could probably park there and look at them. So anyway, they looked at me like, oh my God, this girl busted us so bad. But anyway, you do have to worry about your physical security. Do you have your servers locked behind a keypad? Do you have your data? Are you storing your data in like applications? Are you storing them in filing cabinets? Do you have that locked? Who has access to that? Do people leave records on their desk? So you have to also be aware of your physical security. And then another security that you should be aware of and know about is your vendor security. So maybe you're getting your product from other vendors, and they're streamlining into your system, you know, third-party vendors. They have that capability. Are they being secure? Or do they have all their policies in place? And what is your risk having them come into your system? So you need to check their security. And then if you're doing e-commerce and you hire a web host, what is their privacy? How are they protecting you? What is their privacy policy? Are they tracking your data? You have to make sure that the data you're collecting is secure. And if it's coming in through the web host, it has to be secure from the web host also. So you just have to know about this, check it out, and then continue to. And then nowadays there is cyber insurance. And it is in case you do have a data breach or cybersecurity event. If you have a cybersecurity event and you have a data breach, it is your responsibility to make sure that you monitor those people's the data that was breached. You have to monitor the owners of the data to make sure that nothing else gets hijacked from their records and stuff. So that's you should look into cyber insurance. It may be a little costly, and it depends on how much you're going to get, but it's an option out there, and it could help your small business continue to be doing business in case there is a cyber event. And this information is the FTC gov, okay? They also have oh yeah, they have this page here. It's the Federal Trade Commission, and they have this cybersecurity for small businesses, and they also deal with fraud and identity theft. So if somebody got a hold of your identity, you can report it here at the FTC. But they have this cybersecurity for small business, and here again are documents, PDFs. They talk about phishing, hiring a web host, your insurance, just everything that I mentioned previously, but it's good. So that's a very helpful handout. And then the last group that I want to talk about is the North Star. And the North Star is part of the Americas SBDC. And the North Star represents the overarching efforts of the Americas SBDC network to mitigate cyber threats to small businesses. North Star follows a handful of frameworks like I've been talking about, from the NIST, the CISA, and we have another one. It's a National Security Awareness, FTC. So they're getting their information like I did. They're getting that, and they have this webpage. And the purpose is to create a structure around a complicated subject and support small businesses and SBD cybersecurity efforts. So this is here's the link to the North Star website. And they have a web page dedicated to small business, and they're calling it the North Star Toolkit for Small Businesses. You'll see here. And I just took a picture of these websites because I didn't want to have trouble or with other people's internet if I'm opening different browsers to hit the web. It might slow it down. So that's why I just put the pictures in here. So they also have a presentation called You've Been Hacked, Now What? So, and they also have a mobile device security checklist. So they're listed here, and this is the website you go to. They have lots of information. They have good videos to follow, and they're there to support the small business centers. So this is that mobile device security. So again, there's PDFs. You can download them, look at them, read them, implement them into your system. So let's see. Today, I have provided you definitions and resources from agencies that provide information to help keep small businesses safe. What you may have noticed is the agencies and groups are promoting training for small businesses on cybersecurity. And there are many resources at these agencies' websites for you to start developing guidelines and policies regarding cybersecurity for your New Mexico business. We need to be safe on the internet with all our devices, systems, and networks. So I did this presentation in October. Some of you may have attended, but the reason it was done in October is October is Cybersecurity Month. And they've been celebrating cybersecurity awareness for 20 years, and that's NIST and CISTA. They've been celebrating it. And then also we have another group called Apex, and they do the government contracting. They make sure you're certified, and they do a lot of cybersecurity presentations. Aletha McInerney, I think she just had a presentation on cybersecurity in the last 2 weeks. So we offer trainings all the time, so keep watching our event page. So in the previous year, last year, not this October, but the previous one, we did 8 different webinars, and we talked about the NICE framework, the CMC framework, the 2 frameworks we talked about, and we have them on our YouTube channel. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay. So I thought that was my link to my YouTube channel, but it's not there yet. So CISA Cybersecurity Awareness theme during October was called, the theme was Secure Our World. And so I can still use it this year because it was just in October they used to it. So, but this program advocates for a shift in behavior nationwide. It specifically emphasizes how our individuals, families, and small to medium-sized enterprises can contribute to securing our world by concentrating on these 4 essential actions. And one is using strong passwords, because passwords get you into your apps, into your systems. You need to be able to produce a strong passwords. Right now, they're saying 14 to 16 characters is a good strong password. And they have done calculations on how long it will take, like the fastest computer, to be able to come up with your password. So right now, because the increase in the computers and their capabilities, it's important to start using strong passwords. And not only are you supposed to be using strong passwords, you should enable any multi-factor authentication on any apps that's available. And that multi-factor authentication is when you get, maybe you're signing into your bank, and then your bank says, I'm sending the code to your text, or I'm sending it to your email address. Please enter that code into the system. So that's multi-factor, because your first was the password. The second one is the second 2 or more forms of authentication. And so this is giving you, it's protecting your users' access, your access to your systems. So, and that's being secure. And then it's real important to recognize and report any phishing. On my personal account, I get so much junk mail, and I look through it, and I have an option to report it. And I do report it because, and then it stops coming into my junk mail. But if they get so many reports, then servers block it. And so then they're not getting this phishing. And you know that they're always saying, hey, that package that you sent or you're receiving, click here. Don't click there. Don't click. If you don't know who it's coming from, you're not expecting anything, get rid of it, okay? Don't be clicking, okay? And then it's also important to update your software. When you see that little orange button when you're signing off and it says update your software, update your software. When you see it on your phone, update your software. And the reason you get updates is because those systems have been hacked. And so there's a hole, and the adversaries are getting in through that hole. So they update their software by closing that hole. So it's real important to update your software, update all your software. So that's just something that securing the world we should be doing, okay? And there's a company called Dynatrace, and it says, secure our world means ensuring that organizations have a well-established application security process that will improve their overall security posture. So that's what we want to know. That's what we want to do. As you notice, all these essential actions pertain to protection. We protect our software and our hardware by using strong passwords, using multi-factor authentication on all available apps, especially your financial apps, your bank apps. We protect our systems by recognizing phishing in all forms. Educate your employees on phishing. Don't click. Do not click. If you don't know who it's coming from, don't click it. Get rid of it. And continue to update all your software when it is used, when it is released. And then here's some other basic practices that one should follow, and that's train your users. That cyber readiness culture will give you ideas on how you want to train your users. And that means everybody, starting from your CEO down to your custodian. It's everybody needs to know. If you're throwing personal information in the trash and it's not shredded, you should be shredding some of that information. Back up your data, encrypt and back up your data. That's real important. If you were to ever have a cybersecurity event, you will want to go back to your backup so you don't lose all that information. If you have years and years of information and you have all that data, why are you collecting it too? But maybe you have to. That's a requirement. But back it up. Encrypt your backups. When you restore the backup, make sure they work. Test your backups, test them. Sometimes when you get some software, some hardware, like a server or something like that, they come with default usernames and passwords. Admin one, the password is admin. And when they mass produce those, everybody gets that same password. So that's standard. You can go to the internet and go, what's a standard as password for this server? And it'll be the default name and password. Change them. When you implement them, change them. When you get you need a device to access the internet, you have new passwords. Change them. Okay. Look into cyber insurance, and then come up with an incident response plan. And then firewalls work also too. And I didn't talk about firewalls and VPNs, but they're all good too. So I developed this presentation. I didn't use AI, but the reason I developed this is to expose you as small business to cybersecurity awareness. We provided some terminology and information on agencies that are tasked to help keep our world safe from the adversaries out there in the World Wide Web. We provided you some resources to help you start on security processes as you prepare your policy and guides to help your small business stay safe. We at the TCA will continue to provide cybersecurity awareness webinars as we try to help you to learn to be cyber safe. So we do have our trainings listed here on this slide here. So if you want to see all the other classes that we provide, the SBDC provides, to go here. We do have our own YouTube, and so we have some of our other presentations stored there. And then if you need counseling to start up your business, or if you need help with your intellectual property, you can come and reach out to us through here. Let's see, here's my contact information. And now I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to bring Christopher in so he can do the survey, and then we'll be ready for Q&A. So Christopher, are you there?
I am.
Okay, great.
Let me launch the pre-survey event. And remember, these answers to these questions are kept confidential, and we only use them for feedback on our webinars and workshops. So I'm going to launch the poll.
And so if each one of you can fill out the information, and because this is our first trial on this, if you have any questions or having any problems, let us know on the Q&A or chat. And I really would appreciate if you guys could fill out this survey. And I'll give you just a couple of minutes, and then we'll go to the Q&A.
Well, I'm looking at the questions. Stephanie, maybe we need to give them more than a few minutes. I'm going to pause while we do this part. And let's look at the Q&A. So I have a question from Monica. How do you recommend keeping track of all these passwords? Great question.
Great. So Monica, there is a application called a program password manager. Okay, there are so many password managers on there, but they have it runs on your device, and it keeps track of your passwords, and they keep track of changing them. A lot of services are recommending using a password manager, and as you know, we have so many passwords. And then if you get into systems, then you have passwords to the different systems. So I can't give you a name of a password manager, but if you look at the America's Small Business Cybersecurity, they may have a recommendation on some of the password managers that are available. I hope that answers your question.
Perfect, thank you. If anybody has a question that they don't want to type into the computer, please raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak. Barbara asks, I do old school and keep a recipe box and paper and pencil passwords. I like that idea.
And you know, that is fine. You gotta keep it secure. So don't leave it on your desk, especially if your office is open door, people coming in and out. Keep it locked up, keep it secure, and that's fine. Uh, you probably have a date when you changed it because it changes all the time too. So, and then too, there's a some kind of recommendation, not some, but maybe you come up with like a phrase, and then for each different password that starts with that phrase, and then you can use some extension for each different password. So
When we do our annual cybersecurity training for UNM, Steffi, it always suggests we use the phrase, "I love my cuddly kitty." And
uh,
Steven says, Bitwarden Password Manager is great, free, and available for most computer systems.
and that's good. I do recommend that you look at and compare your different program managers, and also the price of them too, because sometimes each software will offer different capabilities, logging, different stuff. Um, so just research them and then determine which one's best for you. So thank you for letting us know that that one was good.
And then Edwin says, is it okay to save passwords on your phone, like in the notes section?
Well, Edwin, if you that's a risk you're going to have to determine. But if you were to lose your phone, would you have your passwords? Who has access to your notes? And maybe you might consider using a locked file where you can lock the document. So that's a risk that you're going to have to determine. I can't say, yeah, that's okay, but if you feel safe with that, that would be okay. But I do recommend you locking them up some way. If you use like Excel, you can lock an Excel file. So that's my recommendation on that.
Perfect, thank you. Robert asks, how secure are password managers? He hasn't used one yet because of concerns over security, because he's afraid whoever hacks the password manager will then get all the passwords.
And that's what because I don't use a password manager, and they came out a couple of years ago, and it's like, I don't know if they're fully tested, but now people are recommending that you do use a password manager. So that's a risk that you're going to have to look into, but I know that they are getting safer and safer each day. So,
Carolyn says, YouTube has several videos on comparing password managers with the pros and cons.
oh, thank you.
Carolyn from Roswell.
Carolyn is one of our counselors for the SBDC. So thank you, Carolyn.
Daniel says, is there any information on how AI is being used in cybersecurity?
Oh, there's lots of information on AI. So there's lots of information on AI. You could probably even get into AI and go cybersecurity, and it would produce so much stuff. If you're using the free AI version versus the most updated, it may be outdated. But there is a lot of information on AI. And AI is being used all over, and nowadays it's being used. And I recommend you playing with it and learning to use it and see what you do. But you do need to check your information, what produces. So, like Carolyn had that pros and cons on PMs. There's a lot of information on cybersecurity online too. But I do recommend, going out and looking on with AI. AI is going to produce what AI knows. So whatever they have stored in there, and you know that it's already out, that it's going to produce cybersecurity information regarding AI. But every company is coming out with AI. There's so much information out there.
Perfect, thank you. Monica says, when writing cybersecurity policies for my business, what points must I cover?
The ones that we went through, okay? let me show you. Let me see. They're gonna be this, identify everything that you have. That's cyber, where you're connecting on the internet, protect it, be able to detect it, come up with a response plan, and then if you ever have to recover, have a recovery plan. But identify what you have out there, what's hitting the internet, what's vulnerable, and do you have your most updated software up there too? So you should cover your identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover, because you see that all the time.
And Monica, take the Apex Accelerators cybersecurity requirements for contractors, because they give you the requirements that a government contracting business must follow to do business with the government, the federal government at least, which are quite lengthy. Michael says, what specific cybersecurity laws does New Mexico have?
I don't know. I don't know. And that's a good question. I will know next time I do this class. I'm sorry, I don't know. I know for the contractors, they have to be, they have to show that they are cyber secure. So if you're doing contracting work for the state, then you'll probably have to follow the CMMC standards. If you're doing it for the at the federal level, you have to, and you're a contractor to the federal government, you have to follow those CMMC standards. And that's what Apex prepares one for. So, but other than cybersecurity laws, I'm not too sure. I know that they recommend that if you have a cybersecurity event, they recommend that you report it to the FTC. So, but I don't know of any.
Perfect.
Do you know of any? Do you know?
I think it's still the wild, wild west out there, Steffi. That's user beware. But
yeah.
the only guidelines they give you is when you are doing government contracting. So I don't have any more questions in the Q&A. We're at 11:59. So I will let you close out the webinar, Steffi. And I want to thank everybody for doing those surveys for us.
Again, thank you for attending. You will be getting an email with my slides, with our slides. I don't know if we're going to send out the recording, but we did record it. So again, thank you for all your questions. And we have one more. We have one more question from Brenda.
Brenda asks, can anything be done to stop privacy invasion and make the web safer overall? Going online seems dangerous. What resources you talked about the morning is most important. So what do you think is most important for staying safe on the internet?
Using your strong passwords, your multi-authentication, updating your software. It's called password hygiene. So use good password hygiene, and then back up your data and learn about phishing. Do not click that button. Okay. So just, and be aware. The more you know, the more it's okay. Educate yourself and educate your employees.
Well, thank you, Steffi. I think we will stop the recording.
Thank you.